Thank you for your interest in attending Hogwarts Wizarding High School, and welcome to your first day in the magical world of Harry Potter. This is the biggest, most complex build that I have ever made in The Sims 4. It's huge. It's so big. This is a 64 by 64 lot. It takes up all of it. We use terrain tools. It's everything. I did everything that you can do in build mode in this one build. As soon as high school years came out, I knew that I wanted to make Hogwarts. I have wanted an excuse to make Hogwarts for a long time, and this is the perfect reason. And baby, let me tell you, this lot includes over 40 rooms. We basically cover, honestly, almost every single set that was included within the Harry Potter film franchise is represented in this build. I was almost running out of options in what I could include in this build towards the end. And when you look on the gallery, what you see there is almost none of that. So I figured today what we would do is take a little bit of a campus tour on the grounds for Hogwarts Wizarding High School to see really what's included in this build. And I'll also say too that there are a lot of little Easter eggs throughout, so if you're interested in the series, please stick around, check out my interpretation of each of these rooms. I use so many reference images, and I really tried to represent the film series and also the books in a really true way. With that being said, let's start our tour of Hogwarts Wizarding High School. So we are going to get started with some sweeping views of the grounds of Hogwarts Wizarding High School. And like I said, this is a huge lot. We really make use of the 64 by 64 space. I tried to squeeze out as many rooms and as many things as possible within the overall footprint of the lot. And we also make heavy use of terrain tools. I really wanted this to look like Hogwarts on top of a mountain. So yeah, we have rivers running throughout. We have big bridges connecting the different wings of Hogwarts. We are going to get started with a bang by checking out probably the most iconic room in the Harry Potter franchise, and that is the Great Hall. So the very first room at the entrance of Hogwarts High School is the Great Hall, and here it is. I feel like this room looks incredible. I feel like this is very indicative of what we're in store for today, so if you like the look of this, stick around. But yeah, I love how this looks. We have a lot of custom sculptures and stacked objects on the walls. We have the use of a lot of debug items in this room, and of course the incredible floating candles that are the most iconic aspect of this room. And then because we can't paint ceilings, I used a pond, the mysterious light pond item on the ceiling to emulate the sky. So I really love how this came out. And now we'll go back outside, and from the entrance, we are going to take a walk on a little bridge that connects us to the central hallway of this Hogwarts build. And so here we can just see the beautiful twinkling night sky, and then we'll go across this bridge into the central hallway. And we are going to get started looking at our first of 6 classrooms. This is our Transfiguration Classroom. So out of the 6 classrooms, 2 of them are completely functioning. This is one of them. I did try and keep everything that was playable in a central location, so it was easy to get around if you decide to use this as an actual high school. And if you are late to your Transfiguration class, you may notice that a certain cat is sitting on a stool waiting for you very patiently. So there's our Transfiguration Classroom with Professor McGonagall. And as we get back into the central hall, we're going to go over to the right here, and we are going to take a look at our first bathroom. There are 3 bathrooms on this lot in total. And here, there's a little bit of debris on the ground. We had some issues with a troll earlier, so please mind the debris. And then we do also have a second toilet that is out of order, so we noticed a strange journal that was, a student tried to flush this down the toilet, so please mind the water. We'll get someone over there soon. But there is one functioning toilet here. And then here we're going to enter our second classroom, which is our Charms class with Professor Flitwick. So here is our Charms class, and as you can see, today we are learning how to levitate things. And I figured we'd start people off easy with some feathers, but if you take a look around, you notice that maybe a few different folks had some issues with exploding feathers on their desks there, so be mindful of that. But this is our Charms class, and you can see somebody was also making fun of Professor Flitwick, it seems, on the whiteboard there. Mischief managed. So we're going to go up the stairs, and we are going to check out our third classroom. Now this classroom is not functional, but it can be very easily if you would like for it to be. and this is our Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. In my mind, this is the time frame of Gildry Lockhart. As you can see, we have some books on display, and it seems as though all the students have gotten a signed copy, which is so generous. And also today, the professor has brought in some pixies for the students to learn about. So yeah, you can see there's one in a cage right there. And then up here on the small platform, we also have a microphone because Gildry Lockhart really does like to be the center of all things. Oh, and of course we have a nice wardrobe back there. Please mind the Bogart. But yeah, this is our Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. As we go out into the small hallway here, we also have our Quidditch changing rooms. So I had to figure out what to do with the lockers. This seemed the most logical to me. So we have a small Quidditch room here. And actually what's really cool is when I was player testing this, I realized that because I put that bench there, a lot of students kind of hang out in here and they'll sit down and talk. And it's actually worked out much better than I had anticipated. It was a pretty good, an accidental solution, I think. And then we're going to cross this little bridge here, and we're just going to go through to a storage room. So we have some paintings up here, some easels and things like that. I figured we don't have an arts classroom, but... Oh, actually, sorry. We're going to go through this painting real quick. And here we are in the Gryffindor common room. I love how this came out. Our Gryffindor common room is big and cozy, lots of blankets and pillows everywhere. We have some candies. And I also noticed when I was prepping the tour here that there's something in the fireplace. So I want to check that out a little bit later. And then if we go upstairs via ladder, here is the dormitory. And for our Gryffindors, nothing too wild there, but we do have some beds just above the common room. And yeah, I love how this came out. It just looks so cozy. All right, so we're going to go back through and to this hallway, and we'll go back downstairs through the central hallway again, and we're actually going to check out one more common room while we're here. So we will cut through. Please I apologize for the glitches that you're going to see throughout this tour. Round walls, you know, in The Sims, it's just... We will see a curious door with a fox knocker on it. And if you know the code, you can get into another storage room. No, here is the entrance to the Ravenclaw common room. And I'm really happy with how this came out. There aren't a ton of reference images for this because it wasn't in the movie, I don't believe, but there are illustrations and of course descriptions. And it is meant to be a circular room that has lots of sort of celestial inspiration to the overall design, of course very airy, bright, and it's also one of the highest up common room and dormitory in all of Hogwarts. So here it is with beautiful blues and bronzes, and then again via ladder, here is the dormitory for the Ravenclaw house. Nothing too wild here, just very simple, making use of those nice lights from the High School Years pack. And then just above the Ravenclaw dormitory, we have our Room of Requirement. So of course with Hogwarts, there has to be an entrance to the magic realm, right? And I figured the Room of Requirement was the perfect spot for that. But be aware, there is no official entrance to the Room of Requirement. However, it will show itself to those who need it. So please work this into your storylines and get there however you would like to. So here's our Room of Requirement. Very simple. This is one of the highest rooms in the build, and it's in the sort of central tower of this version of Hogwarts. So we're going to go back down through the Ravenclaw dormitory and common room, and we're going to check out one more common room, and we're going to go into the basements just below the central corridor. So we're going to check out first the kitchens of Hogwarts, and I really wish this is supposed to be below the Great Hall, and just because of the terrain constraints I couldn't do that, but here is the kitchens, and then I also love that little painting of the pears as well, because apparently to enter the kitchens of Hogwarts, you have to tickle some pears in a painting. So here are our kitchens, all completely functional, next to both of the primary classrooms and the lockers as well. And then just over here on the side of the kitchen is a small storage area and a tapestry. And actually, if you tap those barrels in a certain way, you find the entrance to the Hufflepuff common room. I love how this came out. So one of the most interesting things that I found out about the Hufflepuff common room is that there are windows down there. So there are only illustrations. This was never featured in the film series. And there's also some writing on Pottermore. And apparently they have windows, even though they're in a basement level, that are basically like at the level of the ground. They can see students walk by, but this allows sunlight to come in. And so I created a little window well that goes out to the first floor, so we also have like actual sunlight at this level in the basement. And then I was also reading that Hufflepuff have a ton of plants and beautiful flowers around, and of course all these golden hues. So I love how this came out. It feels so cozy. And and the dormitory is in the second basement level, just below the Hufflepuff common room. Very standard here. We do have some custom sort of like wall sculptures and artwork. But yeah, I love how this came out. It just looks like, I think I'm a Gryffindor, but I probably would enjoy myself the most in this Hufflepuff, in the Hufflepuff common room. This looks like the room for me. And so now we're going to go back to the central hallway, and we're going to go across to the, let's call it the East Wing of Hogwarts. And over here, we're just going to check out some views of the grounds. Here's a beautiful bridge that links the small hallway where the third classroom is, the Defense Against Dark Arts classroom is, and the Gryffindor common room. And then here's the little aqueduct bridge over there. We have some beautiful swans, and here you can see the rivers that actually run below Hogwarts. And here we are in a new hallway. So we're going to check out the fourth classroom here. And all right, so small confession, I wasn't able to fit in greenhouses, and I really wanted to. I wasn't able to fit in greenhouses, but I had to do a herbology class. I had to. And so here is my take on a herbology class. It's not as referential to the film as the other classrooms are, but I did really try to emulate certain aspects of it because The Sims has so many cool plants and so many gameplay aspects around gardening that I couldn't avoid having a herbology class. So we're using things from Strangerville, from the Get to Work pack with the alien plants, and then also our poor little friend there, during player testing, our little cow plant passed away, unfortunately. But this is the herbology class. I love how this came out. It also looks really beautiful when the sun kind of like streams through those windows in the back. Just a wild room in general. I would be probably terrified to walk into this classroom. And then we're going to go down this hallway a little further, and we're going to check out two really small rooms. So over to the left here, we actually have the Dueling Room. I don't know if this has a name, but this is the room that Harry battled Draco Malfoy with Gilderoy Lockhart, and also when we found out that Harry is Parseltongue. So I thought we really had to have that, especially because dueling is a functionality from Realm of Magic. And then here is the potion storeroom. Here's Snape's storeroom. So this is where Neville or Dobby, depending on the film or the book, gets gillyweed. So yeah, there's the potion storeroom. I put a barrel in front of the door, which prevents anybody from actually going in here, just in case somebody wanted to either dispose of potions or take them. But you can remove the barrel if you would like to, depending on the story you're trying to tell. Now we are going into another room that is one of the primary reasons that I thought to make Hogwarts in the first place, oddly enough. Here we are at the office of Dolores Umbridge. Oh my god. So those curtains on the walls, when I saw those, I immediately thought, for whatever reason, of those ribbons and the plates that Dolores has hanging on her walls. And I was like, I can make that. So here's Dolores Umbridge's office, famously pink. Lots of cushions and blankets thrown around, some very mysterious documents on her desk, and some very particularly arranged pens. And then we also have, of course, the nefarious quill that Harry used to serve detention in her office, and some nice little ceramic cats on the ground too. So yeah, I love how this came out. I wish we had doilies in the game, but I think it's, appropriately frilly and pink for Miss Dolores. And then we're going to check out a little space that we haven't actually seen yet that's been right next to us this whole time. Here's an extension of the Herbology class. So these are plantable boxes. Right now they have just about every odd plantable item in the game. So there you go. Check that out if you need it. And right beside that, we have the Infirmary. This is something that's like so beautiful in the movies and would be really tough to recreate, but I did want to have some kind of representation of it. Here's a small courtyard. I don't believe this was included anywhere in the film series, but there are a lot of open courtyards, and I really wanted to emulate that feeling of the grounds of Hogwarts, so I just included a small space there. And here's the tiniest peek at the grand staircase, but we're going to come back there in a little bit. And first, we're going to check out the office/sleeping quarters of the head of Gryffindor. So here's Professor McGonagall's sleeping quarters/office. And I don't believe that there were visual references for this one. I just kind of wanted it to feel like an elevated version of the Gryffindor common room. And of course, we have a nice little teapot over there. And just something really simple and cozy feeling. But I think it came out pretty nice indeed. I would like to stay here. And then as we go outside, we're going to go down this hallway. And to our right there is actually another entrance to the grand staircase that we'll come back to. And as we go down this hall, we come to another very iconic set, which is Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Wow. So this collection of sinks, essentially the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets, was kind of tough to figure out how to create. I used a combination of half walls, a platform in the middle, some debug items, and then objects from the Decor to the Max kit to the wall panels to create that. But we do have some bathrooms right here as well, of course, and then a mysterious cauldron that maybe Hermione herself was using in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. And then this isn't reference from the film, but it did make sense just from a sort of like layout standpoint for this build. I included 2 Prefect Baths in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Here's the first one. We're not going to check out the second one, but it's very similar and right across from this. But yes, here are the Prefect Baths. Oh my gosh, I love how these came out. It looks so relaxing. Not exactly like the film or the books really, but I wanted it to feel very luxurious. We have a ton of lotions and everything that you would need to have the best bath of your life. And then of course we also have, just beside the bath, a golden egg. Because if you remember, this is where Harry figured out, I believe it was the clue to the 3rd challenge of the Triwizard Tournaments, or the 2nd. I think it was the 2nd. Triwizard, 3. I think it was the 2nd challenge. But we have a beautiful golden egg next to the Prefect's bath. And now we are entering the grand staircase. This was a headache. Anyway, here's the grand staircase. We're going to go all the way up this for the rest of the build. This is sort of like the central tower, and there are multiple rooms and classrooms off of this. But first, we're actually going to go into the basement. So in the corner of the grand staircase here, we have an entrance to the basement. And as we go down, here is the Hall of Tapestries that I had mentioned earlier. And as we go all the way down to the end, we'll see a portrait of Vladimir himself. And if we enter this portrait, we find ourselves in the Slytherin common room. Yeah, here it is, the Slytherin common room. This was actually the first common room that I made, and it really kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to prioritize for the other ones as well. But here we are in the Slytherin common room. We have a big roaring fire, but otherwise very dimly lit. We have a chessboard because Slytherins are very chessboard people, I think. No offense to Slytherins. We also have one of those changing paintings above the fireplace, which I love that they exist in the game because it's so perfect for the world of Harry Potter. And then the dormitories are connected right there, but nothing major, just a couple beds. And then right across from the Slytherin common room, we have another bathroom. This is just very simple, really just for functionality purposes. So we'll go back into the Hall of Tapestries, and we'll go into the next classroom, which is our potions class. All right, so I made a little bit of a mistake. The reference images I was using here were apparently for Snape's office. So this big sort of like dome feature you see in the middle, apparently that was from Snape's office, not potion class, but I think that it ends up working better for this build. Another thing to note here is that I used a floor tape from the Get Famous pack, in front of all of those shelves, so nobody will come down and remove any of the potions off of the shelves. But yes, here's the potions class. We have cauldrons everywhere and all different kind of concoctions being made, some more successful than others, but I love how the potions class came out. It feels so Harry Potter to me. And just across from potions class, we have the dormitory and, or I should say the sleeping quarters and office for the head of Slytherin. Yeah, just really small, cozy, again, like very dimly lit though. And we also have a very specific wand there, which if you download the slot, I would encourage you to check out the name. That is the Wand of the Forgotten, I believe, but I did name most things that can be named, so check out the name of that one. As we go back upstairs, back to the grand staircase, right beside the entrance to the basement, the dungeons, is actually the entrance to the Hogwarts Library. And so, yeah, I love how this came out. We have some custom bookshelves here that follow the round wall. And we also have some desks built into them, lots of studying happening here, many studious students. And also, if you take a look at the little workstation there between the bookshelves, you may notice some gillyweed. This is another reference to the Triwizard Tournament in the films. I don't think in the books, but in the films, this is where Harry finds out that gillyweed will help him breathe underwater for an hour. So we have some gillyweed on the table. And then we also have some beautiful floating books. This looks better in gameplay rather than first person, but one of my favorite things about the Hogwarts Library is how the books put themselves away. How incredible is that? So we have some floating books throughout the throughout the library. All right, and now back in the grand staircase, we're going to go up to the first floor finally. The first room we're going to check out on the first floor is the Hogwarts Trophy Room. So I don't think that this room has a ton of significance in general, but I really feel like this feels like a Hogwarts room. The actual room in the movie has such beautiful architecture that I genuinely could not recreate in The Sims 4 just because of building limitations, but I love how this almost feels like a room full of treasure, just open for the students to explore and check out. So that is the trophy room, and then we're going to stay on the first floor, and we're going to go to the other side with a little bit of magic, and go down this hallway to another extremely famous room. So as we go through these doors, we find ourselves at the Mirror of Erised. I love this room. It's so simple, but it to me really gives the feeling of the set and the room and in Hogwarts. Here we're using a small platform with some big archways from the Get Famous pack and some sheer curtains and things like that around it. And if you notice, there's also something sitting beside the Mirror of Erised, which you would be familiar with if you saw the first Harry Potter movie or read the first book. So I love that room. It just has such a really cool feeling to it. So we're back in the grand staircase. We're going to go up to the second floor, and this is actually the last classroom on our campus tour today. We're actually close to the end of the tour. And the final and sixth classroom that's included in this build is Divination. Oh, Professor Trelawney. So this room is draped in fabric everywhere. It uses a ton of curtains. I used a lot of items from the Paranormal Stuff pack, and then also, of course, Realm of Magic. So we have a bunch of crystal balls on the table, and then also you can come up here and talk with some of the departed if you would like to, using that item from the Paranormal Stuff pack. But yeah, I love how this came out. We have lanterns hanging everywhere and kind of sitting around all the students. And now we're going to go to the final location of our tour for today. It is on the smallest staircase on the highest floor in the grand staircase. So as we ascend these final steps, we arrive at the Headmaster's office, Dumbledore's office. I love how this room came out. So this is another room that looks better during gameplay than it does in this first-person view. We'll check that out in a second, but here it is with these big, beautiful arches. We have portraits of all the previous headmasters hanging on them, and just so many celestial oddities sitting around everywhere. Here's Dumbledore's desk. Of course, we have his favorite candies, lemon heads or lemon drops. And there's also a very mysterious ring sitting on his desk. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Sitting beside him is his forever companion, Fawkes the Phoenix, or a representation of it. And also we have the actual principal's desk, the smaller desk that's over there, that's functional. I've never seen the principal there during gameplay, but that is the principal's desk. And then over in the far right corner of Dumbledore's office, we also have a very famous item here, which is the pensieve. So I actually created this using a bird bath and a debug object called Spectre Sip from the Paranormal Stuff Pack. And I put some books there just to block it off so no Sims would go and try and actually drink the pensieve. But yeah, I wanted to include just a quick shot in gameplay so you could see sort of the full effect of this room. These archways are from the Get to Work expansion pack, and I just think they look so cool. And they don't peek through the roof or anything like that, so this is all concealed within this room, and I feel like it really emulates how this room made me feel when I saw the movie for the first time. So yeah, here's Dumbledore's office. And that concludes our tour today. Those are all of the rooms on this build of Hogwarts Wizarding High School. Again, this is completely functional. I player tested this for several days to make sure everything worked well. And yeah, we go back through the grand staircase, through this small hallway, and we find ourselves back at the entrance of Hogwarts. So that's what I got today. I hope that you enjoyed your tour of Hogwarts Wizarding High School, and I hope that you'll have a very successful year here as a student. And of course, if you want to download this build, it is now available on the Sims 4 Gallery. You can find it under the exact same username I have here, which is just patrickcreates. Did I include all of your favorite aspects of the series in this build? Are there things that I missed? Were there opportunities that I had for Easter eggs that just totally went over my head? Please let me know. If you like videos like this, one of my favorite things to do in The Sims is recreate buildings or things from my favorite media, video games, movies, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe because I'm sure I will do this again. And I've already done it. I have a couple videos that I'll link at the end. If you're a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I also created the Sunnydale High School from that series. And if you like this video, please feel free to give me a like because I'm just getting started and stuff like that is really helpful. And I think that's all I got today. So until next time, y'all.